Donald Trump's national spokesperson, Katrina Pierson, joins us now from Dallas. Katrina, good to see you again.
Good to see you. Thank you.
First, we want to get your response to that last story about the new anti-Trump ads. The attack ads haven't really seemed to hurt him thus far, but is the campaign concerned that many people are seeing this and are really questioning, for example, whether Mr. Trump is a misogynist for some of the things that he said about women?
No, absolutely not. I mean, Melania Trump herself was asked the question, and her point, which I want to reiterate, is the fact that Mr. Trump treats everyone the same. The Republicans have taken the lines of liberal attacks, whether it's the war on women, even racism, for crying out loud. They're even attacking capitalism, which is why a lot of these attacks are failing. This is not how Republicans operate. This is not what they believe in. And the fact that some of these quotes were taken from Donald Trump's television character just lets you know how ridiculous the ads have become.
But not some of the things that he said on the Howard Stern show, Katrina. He said some things that were not in character. They were just him.
Well, some of them were, but a lot of them were also from his TV character. If you're a TV character, you're in character when you're on the Howard Stern show or when you're on any other television network, for that matter. And I don't think these are going to stick because Mr. Trump is not a misogynist. He's just Mr. Trump, and people understand that. He's been in the public eye for decades. The negatives are baked in. He is still winning women, even on the Republican side, and these attacks are going to continue to fail.
You know, not just about whether or not he's getting the support of women, but it's going to be a tight race in Ohio. Mitt Romney is there pushing for Kasich to win in that area. There's a ton of money being spent on negative ads, not just in regards to women, but other negative ads, encouraging Republicans not to vote for Donald Trump. Is there a concern that even if he gets enough delegates, there's a significant number of Republicans who just might not like him?
And that may be the case, but there's a significant number of Republicans who do like him, and that's what's really important. Millions of people have turned out to vote for Donald Trump. He's going to win very well today across the country, and it's going to stay that way. The reason we're having this problem isn't because they don't like Donald Trump per se. It's because Donald Trump disrupts the system. And even if you're a woman, you care more about your child's future and putting food on the table than you do about what someone says. And so I really don't think this line of attack is going to help. I think it's actually going to help because people see through that. We've been through this now for several cycles where attack ad after attack ad, a lot of them turn out to be false. But at the end of the day, who is the one that people trust to secure the border, to bring back jobs, and to fight for the American family? And what we've seen so far is that person is Donald Trump.
Katrina, if Mr. Trump doesn't secure enough delegates to become the GOP nominee outright, how would the campaign handle a brokered convention?
You know, we're not even concerned about that right now. We feel really good about today and moving forward. We think we're going to have enough to get those delegates. If we go into a brokered convention, we'll deal with that when we get there.
If the eventual nominee is not Mr. Trump, will he pledge to support whoever the GOP nominee is?
Mr. Trump has already pledged to not run a third-party candidate and to back the nominee. He's even said that recently. Now we see where the establishment-backed candidates are wanting to break that pledge, which is what's gotten them in this trouble to begin with. But the problem's not going to be on the Trump side. It's definitely going to be with the establishment. But again, Mr. Trump's going to get those delegates. He will be the nominee, and he will be the next president of the United States.
You know, the campaign got a lot of attention over the weekend because of violence at rallies. We've heard Donald Trump say, oh, you know, maybe one person was hurt. Really not. A lot of people haven't been hurt. We heard him call the rallies a love fest. Why doesn't he just come outright and say, listen, we don't like this kind of behavior and I want my supporters to stop?
Well, first of all, what happened over the weekend were not his supporters. And secondly, he has said that. He has said that a number of times where he said he does not condone violence. And before every rally, if the media would show the pregame, you would see there's announcements made on how to handle these situations. What we experienced last week were the likes of MoveOn.org. Even Bill Ayers, the domestic terrorist, was on the ground with his camera. Black Lives Matter and all other of these radical leftist anarchist groups who were out there just to cause trouble.
But Katrina, you know, we have video showing Trump supporters actively participating in the ruckus, if you will.
Spinning.
And though he has, you know, said, I've heard him say that he doesn't condone violence, on the flip side, he called it a love fest. I mean, he's sort of talking out of both sides of his mouth in regards to this behavior, isn't he?
Well, no, he calls his rallies love fest. I mean, think about that. The tens of thousands of people that come to these rallies love Donald Trump, and they love him. And yes, it is a love fest. But when you have these disruptive protesters who have no intention on just being a protester, but ripping signs out of Donald Trump supporters' hands, pushing them, throwing themselves on the ground, and throwing punches, of course you have to defend yourself. That's what you see on that particular video. And I will note on that video, that is the MoveOn.org and Bernie Sanders protesters, which you can see if you're even showing the video of the Bernie signs and the Bernie chanting. But this was not Donald Trump supporters. These people came into the event and started the ruckus on their own.
Katrina, when Barack Obama was running for the presidency against John McCain back in 2008, Senator McCain was asked at one of his rally events, somebody who questioned Mr. Obama's legitimacy to be the president of the United States as a Christian, as an American, and Senator McCain took the microphone away from that person and said, no, ma'am, he's an honorable man, he's a Christian, he's a good man, he's a family man. Why can't Donald Trump do the same? Because in one of those rallies, we saw him say that he would pay the legal bills of the person who had actually punched a person who was protesting. It's very different from what we've seen in the past.
Well, what Mr. Trump said is he would pay the legal fees for someone defending themselves. So that full story never really gets out there. And Mr. Trump is not a polished politician that's going to say the politically correct thing. I think that's been quite established by now. Mr. Trump is going to be Mr. Trump. He is standing up for the working class American, and he's not going to back down from that.
Katrina, before I let you go, I want to ask you about a new story that just came out on Politico right now, questioning the campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, and I'm just going to quote it for you and get your response. In interviews with more than 20 sources who have dealt with Lewandowski during his nearly year-long tenure with the Trump campaign and in his previous job with the Koch brothers-backed advocacy group Americans for Prosperity, complaints emerged about being rough with reporters and sexually suggestive with female journalists while profanely berating conservative officials and co-workers he deemed to be challenging his authority. Your response?
I'm going to call that hogwash, simply because we know now that what this reporter claimed was not true, and that's going to be sorted out here very soon. But this is also an orchestrated attempt to take down anyone associated with Mr. Trump. We've already been through the whole process of hundreds of millions of dollars being spent that can't take down Mr. Trump. So they've decided to try to take down everyone around him. So that is false, and another attempt to try to take down Mr. Trump.
So he's never berated people on the campaign, including yourself, who challenged his authority?
I have never experienced anything like that with Mr. Lewandowski.
All right. Katrina Pierson, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it as always.
Great to be here. Thank you.